The following Four Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
Yo, what's up? And let me welcome y'all to this very special edition of the Cheap Pop Podcast in episode 15. We really only got a couple of major things to talk about, but let me tell you folks, this is about to get interesting and fun. I'm here as always with Alpha. What's up, dog?
Oh yeah, my people. Back again once again.
Oh yeah. And once again, joining us, the co-founder, my brother from another mother, man I've known for way too damn long, the one and only Saint. What's up, my brother?
What's good with it, Planet Earth? What's good with it, man? Once again, you're rocking with the vibe. We are back in business. What's good with it, Double K? What's good with it?
Not much, man. It's like this. I know all of us have Disney Plus. All of us have been tuning in on a weekly basis to that show called The Mandalorian. And to me, I still love. I love fresh and new Star Wars stories. I know I'm about to get slapped on the internet for that. But we'll say Star Wars stories, and the main reason why is because I'm gonna go see Rise of Skywalker, and I'm gonna love it and all of that. But I'm kind of burnt out on the Skywalker storyline. Like, and I'm ready for new and different storylines. Like, I love.
Well. Hold on. I get it. I get it. because it's been around since. Jesus Christ! I remember going to see
my
the
life.
show. I remember going to see Star Wars at the movie theater in 1977. So yeah, and they need to close it properly because, let's face it, The Last Jedi just didn't do it for me, man.
No.
I was truly unsatisfied with that, and I honestly believe that we really need this 9th chapter. We need to give a nice closeout for the Princess Leia story. If anything is to be going forward, it's good to have Billy D. Williams to close out his chapter Lando Calrissian. It's like, what the hell is this? Is this the season of, closing stories? Because, man, there's a lot of that going across all these universes.
Yeah, we'll get to that a little later.
Yeah.
With the crisis. But what I was going to say was that this particular episode of Mandalorian, have you guys checked out Chapter 6 yet?
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
I love everything about that episode, but I have to say, my favorite part is when the droid that's in the ship tracks down the Baby Yoda, and the Baby Yoda is in that little box, and he puts his little hand up like he about to do something, and all of a sudden Mando comes and shoots him, and he's like, "Did I do that? Was that me?" And he's like looking at his hand, and I'm like, okay. That's my moment of the episode right there, because that just killed me. He was just like, I think that was me. Yeah, that was me. But needless to say, there was so much more that was better about the episode than just the Baby Yoda part. That just made the moment because it was just so cute. But now that Baby Yoda talk is out the way, we can talk about the actual fun parts of the episode. Man,
go ahead.
I was just gonna make one statement, and then you can take it from there, saying in Alpha, you can follow up off of him. That Absolutely. If you didn't think that the Mandalorian could fight, you gotta watch this episode. Like, if you were doubting the skills of a Mandalorian, you gotta watch this episode, because bottom line is, now I see why the Mandalorians are some of the most feared bounty hunters and some of the most feared warriors in the Star Wars universe. But I'll let you take it from there, Saint.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, listen, I was really, really like this episode. To me, brought some good points to it, because first of all, seeing Mark Boone Jr. as Rand. This is the guy that was just the last thing I really saw him in, of course, was Sons of Anarchy. And, he played a crooked dude like that in Batman Begins, as the cop. He did the same kind of thing in Too Fast, Too Furious. He always played that crooked role real well that gets it in the end. I mean, this time, spoiler alert, you know what happens to him, towards the end, you know what his final fate was. Bill Burr playing Mayfield, that to me was off the hook. And Big Clancy Brown playing Berg, and everybody knows him as the voice of Lex Luthor. Yeah. So it's like all of them played their roles. This was, it really was an enjoyable episode, but I do agree that the Mandalorian definitely has a lot of fighting skills, man. Like, he does his thing. He's not going to get caught up in a trap. It's like you can't trap this dude.
Yeah.
No.
My turn? All right, cool.
Yeah.
Sorry.
much like yourself saying, I agree that it's refreshing to have the Mandalorian, especially as a hardcore fan. I'm with you in the way that I was not exactly impressed with the recent trilogy. I found more enjoyment in y'all stories like Solo and Rogue One especially. Mm-hmm. But as a die-hard Star Wars fan that's been doing this as long as I can remember, The Mandalorian is as good as it gets. It is definitely for the hardcore fan, even if it is good at bringing in casual fans.
Yeah.
But it's a very consistently good show. The last 6 episodes have all been the same level of presentable and overall just good.
Yep.
But this episode especially, it really puts it into perspective that the Mandalorian is 100% the badass that he presents himself to be.
Exactly. And really it all happens in that one scene. That one scene when they're boarding the ship and they get attacked by the road. It's all kind of like, and he kind of disappears and they're like, yeah, look at this wimp. He fighting just about to start. He didn't disappear. He comes around that corner and is just like, "G'day, g'day, g'day," and I'm just like, oh, damn, yeah, y'all lucky that nigga there, cause y'all was dead to rights. Y'all lucky he was there. But yeah, man, in that one scene, it just encompassed all the badassery that they had kind of hinted at, throughout the entire first 5 episodes. Just kind of all came flashing out in that episode. Because even to me, I was like, well, yeah, he didn't done some stuff, but I ain't really seen, taking down the AT-SAT, that was nice and all, but, that was more than just him. But...
Yeah, he had an army with him at the time.
Right, but in that scene, I was like, y'all, don't mess with him. Just leave him alone. Why y'all? And then as he was taking them out one by one, I'm like, why has nobody just learned? Hey, y'all, can we just leave? Can we just leave Mando here? Can we just go? Don't go kill him. Go. Let's get out of here. Did you see what that did to 3 droids? What the hell you think he gonna do to us? Let's get to getting. Get on the ship and go. We got the bounty. We got
disengage.
Let's
disengage.
Go. Right. But
well,
trying to kill dude. Oh, we got this. Yeah.
Let me ask y'all something. let me ask you something for real. What do you think his final fate? Because we got 3 episodes left. So what do you think is gonna? I'm just I just want to give what do you think is gonna happen going forward? Because he's still on the run with the kid. That's what I like to call the little thing. The BY is the kid, because that's what everybody else has been calling it.
I'm thinking that we're going to see some kind of hint towards the beginning of the First Order. I think that this particular character is going to have something to do with something that triggers the beginning of the First Order. Because that baby, because I honestly think that baby BY, whatever we want to call him, is actually going to end up having some kind of role in Rise of Skywalker, and they just haven't revealed it to us yet.
Oh, you think
so?
Yeah,
Ooh,
I
okay.
think there's going to be a tie-in. I may be completely wrong. I have not read any articles that said it. This is purely conjecture and opinion. But I honestly think that character is going to have something to do. Because why introduce a Yoda character, a Yoda-like character, in a show that takes place? Even though me and your boy Cole got into a back and forth on Facebook, because he claims that Jon Favreau has announced claimed two different timelines for where Mandalorian could have taken place, either after Empire Strikes Back, or not Empire Strikes Back, but after Return of the Jedi, or 5 years after Return of the Jedi, which is one article that I found that he said, but Cole says there's another article where he says it happens after The Force Awakens.
No,
That wouldn't
I'm
make
sorry.
any sense,
That-
though. That would
Exactly.
not make any sense.
Exactly. The
No.
most logical spot for it to be is the 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, the official thing. It is literally 5 years after the fall of the Empire.
Which
But
happens
I'm
in
not
Return of the
too
Jedi.
inclined to disagree. I'm not inclined to disagree. I do believe you may be right. This kid may possibly be tied in to what's going on, what's going to happen in this last Rise of the Skywalker. Because think about it. Palpatine is coming back.
Yeah.
So why not bring a force why not bring something
It's
that
an
has
equally
the
good
greatest
force as there is bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're bringing back
Exactly.
the big baddie. And to an extent, that's even an angle that I hadn't necessarily thought about. What my thought process on it was as in character development, is why introduce this character in this show that supposedly takes place right after the fall of whatchamacallit, where Yoda's just died like a movie or so ago. You know what I'm saying? Yoda's dead. And why bring about this character that has nothing to do with anything? Effectively, you see what I'm saying? Like and then you've already had two other movies that are supposed to be post Empire or post Return of the Jedi, and you haven't even mentioned this character once. Like, I think somebody would have noticed another Yoda-like character, another person of Yoda's species being out there, considering how important Yoda was to the Jedi. Yoda was one of the masters of all masters, of the Force. So why would a birth of another character of his, what I'm saying? Because they've already established that this kid is powerful in the Force when he lifts up that rhino or whatever that thing was protecting that hole.
Mm.
They've already established he's strong in the Force. So why introduce this character and show him doing stuff like that if you're not going to integrate him into the movie universe?
Or let me ask you this question. Or do you think there's a possibility, and, let's not be too far-fetched from it.
Yeah.
Because anything is possible in this universe.
Right.
What if this is a clone of Yoda and it's stemming all the way going back as far as the Clone Wars? Because you got to remember, man,
that's true.
A lot of that was going on. And the thing about it is, if it's only one of his species, I guarantee you that is a clone of Yoda.
A clone of a Yoda, okay.
That would be interesting.
Kind of like Baby Groot.
That'd be interesting.
Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Guardians of the
fucking
Galaxy recently.
Larval reincarnation.
Yeah. And I mean, it's possible because we've never seen any more of his species. And then you got to think about it. And, Yoda lived to be, 930 or 900-something years old, I believe.
Exactly.
So he was already getting close to his 800. So we don't know how they age in terms of – we don't even know how old that baby is.
Well, yeah, we do.
You know what I'm –
Yeah, we do. Because actually, Carl Weathers mentions it when he sends him on the initial trip. He says that the child is supposed to be 50 years old, or not 50 years old, but that the package is supposed to be 50 years old.
Yeah.
So they have established in the series that the baby, that BY is supposed to be 50.
So if that baby is 50, that's a possibility. That's a clone of Yoda, dude. I wouldn't be too. And I will start that. I will start that rumor.
That works for me. No, because I can roll with that. Like it makes a lot of sense, and it would also make a lot of sense why that baby would be so valuable. You feel what I'm saying?
True.
Think about it. Because think about it. When we're introduced to this character, it's a bounty that he's going to do, and it just happens to be that Mando couldn't kill the baby. You know, and so there's a reason why the baby is so important, and we don't know why.
True. That, as far as we know, that is a baby of an indigenous swampland lizard people race.
Because
what other reason would there for it to be why some billionaire type of character would want that one so badly?
Exactly.
Because check it out. Think about it. And I want you to think about it. It's 50. You said the package is 50 years old, right?
Yeah.
So the Clone Wars took place about close to 25 years before. Before that,
before
Order 66. Yeah. Before Order 66 was initiated.
Okay.
Alpha, you know what I'm talking about, right?
When they kill all the Jedi, one of the last scenes in episode 3.
The sanctioned genocide of all Jedi.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he had to have had a clone made, because remember when he left the Wookiees, he went back to Alderaan, but he also went back, to where the Alliance were. It's possible somewhere before that happened, he had to make a clone, because either, it was already predicted pretty much with his children, with Darth Vader's children. Yeah. Somebody was going to end up growing the Force, so Yoda trains Luke.
Yeah.
But somewhere it's gonna tell you somewhere what was going on between the Mandalorian's timeline and the First Order and everything that's happening. You might be right; it might be tying into Skywalker, but I honestly believe that he is a clone.
Well, okay, I got a big question
That's
for
an
y'all.
interesting take. That's an interesting take. But above all else, are we in agreement that the Mandalorian takes place after Episode 6?
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes. Okay,
because they even said it on there. It's 5 years. It's not too long. 5 years. I mean, stormtroopers were still around.
Yeah,
exactly. The stormtroopers, their armor is still being salvaged freely. For me, it doesn't get any more obvious than when Mandalorian tried to give him the Imperial credits,
and he said,
and dude was like, he's like, these are obsolete now. Like, there's so much emphasis on the way he said now that it's clear it's like right after Episode 6, after the Imperial Army has just fallen.
Yeah.
Excuse me, gentlemen.
Sorry.
No problem. All good.
Okay, so you actually led me right into my final question, kind of on the Star Wars topic before we jump over to Crisis. Okay, so I got into this discussion with some people about chronological order versus book order. Okay? Or not chronological order, but release order versus book order. These two people's argument to me against the book order, watching episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, was that it ruins the aha moment with Luke and Darth Vader. That you're killing that part. Now, first and foremost, let me finish total, and then I'll get you guys' thoughts. But I told first and foremost people that it was a big reveal, but it wasn't that big of an emotional reveal for me. I kind of pieced it together already. Like, I kind of had my suspicions that Darth Vader was Luke's father. It was just kind of confirmed for me when he said it. Okay? But for me, I still think you have the aha moment. You just have it earlier. You feel what I'm saying? Like you have the moment where you kind of go, okay, that's his son. If you've never watched Star Wars before, because that was their thing, is if you've never watched Star Wars before, it ruins it. So I would like to get your guys' thoughts on watching the book order, which is the chapter, versus the release order, and losing those, quote, aha moments.
Okay, Alpha, you want to go ahead, or?
I'm going to keep it very real with you. That's one of the fucking stupidest things I've heard in a minute.
Yeah.
No disrespect to those people, but straight up, like, Darth Vader being Luke Skywalker's father is such a staple in pop culture that I can guarantee you somebody who has never, ever seen Star Wars knows about that
Yep.
well into the time that they're interested and ready to start it manually. And not only that, but like Kevin said, sorry about that. Like Kevin said, it's not even such a bombshell, something that's game breaking.
Yeah.
To the point where you need to revolve your watching order around that one single moment.
Well, let me field in on that one. Okay. I'll say this.
Sure.
To me, watching Star Wars, if it's your first time watching the series, I would watch it out of order just so you can understand. Because, see, when you watch it from the beginning, you know, we know that Anakin Skywalker becomes Xander, but, you know, as watching it from a movie standpoint, I could not watch I wouldn't be able to watch The Phantom Menace first without watching the first, you know, what they call officially the first trilogy, unless I've seen, you know, Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, because to me, it's being told out of order like a Quentin Tarantino movie. Now, if I've seen the series, I've seen the series dozens of times. So yeah, like right now, I've been watching, you know, episodes, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and horribly, I'm gonna have to watch 8, and then of course watching the other movies in between. Except really watching Solo, I don't know, that kind of broke my back too. But I have to say that if you watch them out of order, that's your business if you're doing it for the first time. Because it kind of does take away from the pop. Because I agree with both of you, because Darth Vader being revealed as Luke's father, you know, when you're 13 years old, or when you're 12, 11 years old in 1980, and you're seeing this and you're like, what?
And see, I think that's where I just experienced Star Wars differently than everybody did my age back then. Because like I said, by the time it got to the moment where he says, Luke, I am your father, there's like 18 hints prior to that in the movie that kind of lead you towards him being, from the conversation that him and Ben-Wan have to you know, down the road, before they get to the moment where he says, Luke, I am your father, there's like tons of hints. So like by the time we got to the point where he says that, even at that age, I had already kind of pieced it together. It was like, all that shit I saw back in that other movie and earlier in this movie kind of makes sense. And I'm not saying it wasn't a big moment. What I'm saying is that it wasn't as epic of a moment for me as it was for everybody else. So even if I was watching it new, for me, where my brain doesn't like that particular release order is that my brain doesn't like reading a book from the middle of the chapter, from the middle of the book, and then going back to the beginning of the book and then jumping to the end of the book. Like, that's my issue with release order, is that I don't like to read the middle chapters, then the beginning chapters, then the end chapters. If I'm going to read a book, I like to read the first chapters, the middle chapters. And really, if you want to be told because one of my friends, his point was that when Star Wars originally came out, hold on, let me get this story in real quick. His point was, when Star Wars originally came out, it was not labeled Episode 4. That was done retroactively after they realized it was going to be a trilogy. But when Star Wars was initially released, it was just Star Wars: A New Hope. Okay? But my argument against that thing, because that's his whole reason for saying you should watch A New Hope first, because it wasn't originally supposed to be the middle chapters of a book. It was just supposed to be a story. Okay, I get that. But my argument against it is, as soon as you put Episode 4 on there, you established it as the center, as the middle chapters of a book. Because the minute you say this is Episode 4, you've now established there's some shit that came before this that we haven't told you about yet. So now, for me, in order to get the story as, to me, it was meant to be told, you have to watch the story of Darth Vader, then the story of Luke and Leia, then the story of Rey. Because that's the way it's supposed to start with the patriarch and then work its way down through the family members. And if you're watching 4, 5, and 6 first, you're starting with the son and daughter story then you move into the father's story, then you're moving to the grandchild's story.
Well, coincidentally, you have a point, but they did the same thing with The Hobbit.
Yeah, no,
You
I agree.
started at the end. You started at the end story before you got the story about what happened in the beginning,
Right.
and that's chronologically, book wise and movie wise.
Right, but
So-
if I was to go watch it today,
you
I would
should
watch The
watch-
Hobbit
yeah.
first and then watch Lord of the Rings next.
Yeah,
It's just the way my brain processes. And that's why I told people it's all about, this is why when I told this dude when he really got into, but that's fucked up, I was like, dude, you're taking it too seriously. This is truly about preference. This is just truly about preference. It's
so
all
what about
you.
when Black Widow comes out?
Now, see, the Marvel movies
Ooh,
are
true.
a fucking trip because of how the movies are put together. Because technically you should
Yeah.
watch them in release order. But you could have the same argument that we're having about Star Wars. You could definitely have the same
because
True. If we're
think
taking
about
that
it.
same logic, then we would start fucking Captain Marvel first if we're watching them all in order.
Right.
no,
Actually,
Winter's, First Avenger
because
would be
actually
first.
you would have to wait. You would actually have to wait a year. Because if you're going to do that, then you might as well wait a year, because you got to remember, in November, the Eternals come out. And that backstory, and that's the backstory. The Eternals is like literally before the Marvel Universe is, snapped into existence.
Okay, so
Forgot
then
that.
The Eternals are literally the big bang of their universe.
Yeah. And
Well,
then
isn't
Black
Nowhere
Widow-
the head of an Eternal?
and-
Yes.
On Guardians of the Galaxy, Nowhere, where Benicio del Toro
Nowhere,
was?
Nowhere is literally the emptied skull of an Eternal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. He's lightweight. The Eternals are like, these are like the celestial beings. I mean, they make the Asgardians look like, paperweights, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Heck yeah.
There's literally only two beings that are above the Eternals, and that is the one above all in the living tribunal.
Yeah.
The Celestials are literally like second, like vice president of fucking everything.
No, Lobo. Lobo is above all else. He killed God. Lobo is the baddest motherfucker in any universe, period. But anyway,
I don't know about that, man. When Wolverine fought Satan, got reduced to nothing but bone, and then came back.
yeah,
I don't
that
know.
made him pretty badass. All right. Well, Lobo and Wolverine, they run the universe. They run everything.
No shit.
No doubt,
right.
gentlemen, no doubt.
All right, so let's dig in, man. All right, so last week on Sunday, we had one of the most epic TV events ever created. And yes, I will call it that. Begin. And that was something that this man right here, this man Saint, has literally been in my ear about for the past like 4-5 years. Every time we talk DC, he was talking Crisis.
It's about
Here we
Christ.
sit, halfway through one of the most epic events ever, and the most epic crossover that the Arrowverse has ever seen, and it's being so well done. But let's start with episode 1, and just all the guest appearances from people like Robert Wuhl. Who else was it? Robert Wuhl, Brandon Routh played 2 characters in the series so far. Man, yeah. Yeah, so let's just start with episode 1 and the beginning of everything, kind of where they started at on Supergirl.
5
Yeah.
words.
What's that, bro?
5 words. Holy crimson skies of death. Bro.
Tell them about it, Say.
Go for it.
Dude, let me okay, see, here's the beauty about what this, and I have to put it, I have to break it down. I've read the original Crisis on the Infinite Earths back in 1985.
Good
Okay.
shit. I'm up to date with you.
And my thing is that this to me was the pinnacle where, I had been a fan of both, Marvel and DC for years, but Batman was the very first comic book. I read it was a little Batman digest. Batman, I think, is issue 328. Happy Birthday, Joker. I could be wrong. I know it's 324, I believe. Favorite comic book Batman story of all time. The Crisis on Infinite Earths, because I was always into the Earth 2, Earth 1 before the Crisis started, with the Justice League, Justice Society, the different Supermans, and understanding the paradox that, like the other stories, like Superman versus Muhammad Ali, Superman versus Wonder Woman, and these were big, giant, comic books back then. So, I understood the thing, the Superman family, the whole 9 yards, Earth 1, Earth 2. So when Crisis on the Infinite Earth started, I knew, I didn't understand why they were fixing continuity, but I knew at that point this was going to be the pinnacle of what DC, this is going to be their legacy, because this was their 50th anniversary story. So because everything had became so confusing at the time in the DC universe, this story was meant to fix that.
Right.
And that was 12 issues of what the hell, what the fuck is this, what's going on, yada yada. When they killed Supergirl, that was crushing. Yep. Because nobody had ever killed a major character. Like Supergirl was a major character. She had her own title for years. And then the very next issue, they killed the Flash. They killed Barry Allen, who had been around since 1956. And you couldn't believe it, they're going to bring him back. They're going to bring him back right away. No, he was dead for years. Wally West served as the new Flash in the Bronze Age of comics. And
about the death of Superman.
Well, here's the thing. But the death of Superman didn't come until 92, 93. That was a big thing.
Oh, really?
But the thing about it is, Crisis on the Infinite Earths did the one thing. That was the blueprint for a lot of things getting killed. I mean, a lot of people said that Secret Wars was Secret Wars was the beginning of doing that secret, that stuff with teaming up all the heroes in a Maxi series. But DC did it on such a level because they bought characters from other comic book companies that they had just bought and owned, like Captain Atom, the Shazam family that was originally owned by Fawcett, all these other characters. I mean, DC swept up a lot of characters. They own a lot of shit, and a lot of people don't realize it. You know why they had to finally change Captain Marvel to Shazam? You know what I'm saying? And the way they're doing this series, this TV show, the Earth 66 Batman. I remember watching those episodes when I was a kid. The 89 Batman. Robert Wool was Alexander Knox sitting there.
That was
all
awesome.
These. That right there to me did it for me right there. It drew right in.
Just so everybody knows, the Earth 66 that he's talking about, that's where he references the Holy Crimson Skies of Death. It was what was his name? The dude that played
his
Robin.
Name, Burt Ward.
Yeah, that played Robin alongside Adam West was basically in kind of his Robin gear to an extent, similar colors, and walking his dog when the skies turn red for Crisis. But that's where that reference comes from. Is in the opening episode, they jump from different Earths before landing on Supergirl's Earth to tell the story of what happens there with Crisis. But they jump to a bunch to show it popping up. And wow, man, they touched on a lot. Like you said, the Earth 89, establishing the Keaton Batman. They did a lot in a short amount of time. In 3 hours, they did a lot.
I don't know, man.
I still told you. They got 2 hours, but if they close this Crisis and they don't establish Earth 95, if they don't establish Gotham, I'm gonna be mad.
Well, dude, you gotta but I'm gonna tell you though, now that it may be they may establish Gotham because DC released a Giant Crisis comic book, and it did answer a couple of questions. They referenced the Fleischer universe. where the Superman from the old school Fleischer cartoons, Pariah showed up there. You know, it was like the fucking 1940s Superman, literally. I mean, have you guys ever seen any of the Superman Fleischer cartoons? Like from back in the day, they were done by Paramount Pictures. Has anybody ever seen those? Look for them. Old school. Yeah, old school Superman, the first Superman cartoons ever made. They showed that universe. They showed the Linda Carter universe. So I got my answer. I got my question answered about the Wonder Woman old school TV show. They answered that one. It was a couple of other ones too, though. So I think they are going to mention Gotham, but you got to remember they still have 6 appearances that they haven't announced yet. There's still some cameos coming that they didn't announce.
Yeah, like I said, that's fine, and I'm down for all that, but they better establish Gotham. Or else I'm gonna be mad. Like, they better establish Gotham. Gotham was too fucking cool for them not to establish it. Like, it did such a great job with Batman's rogue gallery of villains, and not to mention the fact, like I said, the guy who played Penguin, the guy who played Riddler, both to me the best versions of those two characters to date.
Can you imagine if they reveal that, dude?
That would be amazing.
Well, I mean, well, think about it. I mean, why wouldn't they show Gotham? Because they did show the Titans. They showed the Titans. And then you got to think about it. They showed Lucifer.
Yeah, that was one of the deepest moments in the entire first 3 episodes. And it was actually like, it didn't hit me until after looking at him for a split second right after the door opens, that it was actually him. I was just like, oh, that's the dude that plays Lucifer on the show Lucifer. Like, they're bringing it all together. Like, yeah, that was pretty dope. Like, it's just so everybody knows. Okay, so in episode 1, basically they jump around, they establish all these worlds as canon by basically jumping to the world and then showing that this red sky that has appeared in Supergirl, Arrow, Flash, and all of that, which, by the way, leads me to, I love the self-awareness that it is a crossover. Like, somebody told me, yeah, the Legends people are the ones that meant, no, it's more than just the Legends, because I believe Ollie mentions a crossover as well. So I love the self-awareness of all the superheroes that this is a crossover event. That always makes for great lighthearted moments. But what was it? It led to one of my favorite lines, and that is John Jones. It's in the very first episode in Crisis Part 1. They're sitting there, and Brainy's sitting there talking. He's like talking all poetically. He says something about, we have and he stops, and they flash around to John Jones. He's like, we have a crisis on our hands. And their skies start turning red. So they're jumping around. But it's hilarious because they come back, and Brainy goes, the Monitor? I thought that was the Flash and the Arrow's problem. And John Jones is like, no, he's everybody's problem. This crisis affects all Earths. And I'm like, did he really just say that? Did he really just say, I thought that was Flash and Arrow's problem. No. Like, what is he doing here? But yeah, what's up?
But no, I got to give you my favorite crossover moment, and it happened last season. Okay, and it happened in the Elseworlds. And Hartley Sawyer, who plays Ralph Dibny, the elongated man, remember that show started that day on a Sunday.
Yeah. And
they were dealing with the situation. He straight up said, it isn't even Tuesday. Because the Flash comes on Tuesdays.
Yeah. Like, I love that self-awareness, like, in the writing of the characters. Like, that's just amazing that they do it. It's breaking the fourth wall without doing it as obvious as, like, they do in Deadpool. Where he directly looks at the screen and, like, talks to you. But it's breaking the fourth wall without doing it that obviously. But, yeah. I love that scene. I love how they put everything together where they're using all the characters but not necessarily using them in every single episode. And every character's had, like the Monitor said, everybody has their role to play, and everybody has had their role to play. But my moment of the thing actually took place in episode 3. They finally find, as Kevin Smith said, that the tool that the Anti-Monitor is using to destroy all the worlds is the world's biggest and greatest threat, a treadmill. But when they go find the power source for the wave, for the antimatter wave, and it's my moment and a half. I was right, like I've been saying. You can go back and listen to past episodes where I say multiple times in the episode where Monitor is talking to the Flash, he says the Flash must die. He doesn't specifically. Actually, at one point he does even say Barry Allen, but there's this whole thing with this multiverse thing where there's a whole nother Barry Allen who's a Flash. And so my whole thought was they're not killing Grant Justine, so it has to be John Wesley Shipp.
Yeah, well, you know what, that you know, and I gotta say that, you know, and I don't want to really ruin anything for anybody out there.
Oh, we're spoilers galore here. They shouldn't be listening if they haven't watched. Like, I'm sorry, man. Don't hold nothing back. They shouldn't be listening if they haven't watched.
Well, here's the thing, and you know, it's like when DC gave us the DC Universe streaming app. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I was happy when they started streaming the episodes of the Flash, because there were some of the episodes I had never got a chance to see when it was originally broadcast. Because I'm talking about the first Flash, the 90s Flash. Yeah. And you know, it only lasted one season. Yeah. And that's what I liked about the updated Flash, because they, you know, they kind of integrated that in. That was a beautiful ending for John Wesley Shipp's character.
Yeah, it was.
You know, and bringing him in, and you know, even going back and watching those, you know, those episodes. Yeah. You know, that's why I was happy when they integrated everybody. Uniform. Yeah. Absolutely. Have you? Now let me just ask Alpha. Alpha, have you ever seen any of those old school episodes of The Flash?
Oh yeah, of course. Okay.
Okay.
It's, are you talking like the one where it was like the cloth suit?
Yeah.
Yeah, the 90s version.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So that sets it up perfectly. So basically, what they end up doing is they figure out a way to stop the antimatter wave machine, but basically whoever does it is going to die, because it's basically causing the machine to collapse within on itself by running on the treadmill backwards. So John Wesley Shipp, which it was my line, my spoken line of the entire series, only because of the fact that it made me mark out. John Wesley Shipp comes up and he steals Grant Justine's speed. And he tells him, the Monitor said the Flash had to die. He didn't say it had to be you. And he steals his speed from him so he can't run in there. Because he was like, this is my moment. This is when I disappear. Da-da-da-da. He says goodbye. He steals his speed. Cisco vibes him into the thing. And they just show him running backwards on the thing in slow motion. They start playing the original Flash music. And then they flash back to a scene from the original pilot. I can't name the character. Maybe you can, Saint.
It's basically it's basically Dr. Tina McGee.
All right, she's standing there and she looks at him and she says, you know, it's just showing her face, and then she says, you know, because I believe in you, and it flips around and it's him, John Wesley Shipp from the 90s show, and that's the last scene you see before he starts running real hard and the whole thing explodes. And it's just one of the deepest moments, like in the entire 3 hours of Crisis. It's one of the deepest moments to me, because they even talk about it in Crisis Aftermath, the show that comes on where they talk about it, where they talk about Crisis and everything that's happened on it with Kevin Smith, hosted by Kevin Smith. They even talk about it was purposely, the scene wasn't put in there, but the scenes that part of the script was written specifically to bring closure to the 90s Flash show. He said, because a lot of people, because it was only one season, really felt that there wasn't, that they never got closure to that show. So this kind of brings it full circle and kind of closes that whole thing. And it was a very beautiful moment. Like, no matter how many times I watch it, I've watched it 3 times since it actually aired, and I cry every time. I shed a tear every time, because it's just that beautiful.
No shame in that. No shame in that.
No doubt.
But so far, Crisis.
Blast, you guys. I'm just saying, I'm actually having a blast, guys. I mean, I really want to thank you guys for sharing your platform with me. I haven't been anybody's guest in quite a while.
Well, man, I figured this was a topic that I had to bring in an expertise on. So,
I mean, let me ask Alpha, are you you a Marvel guy, DC guy? I mean, what's the story?
It depends, because when it comes to conventional means, if we're talking like movies and such, of course Marvel is where it's at, but in my opinion I prefer DC, only for the tone that they set, and because I focus more on the animated movies, the video games, and the comics themselves, and I've always felt that DC, especially in these last few years, has much stronger comics.
Okay, so are you an Injustice fan?
Oh, hell yeah, absolutely. Read all the comics, bought both games, absolutely.
Well played, Bruce. Well played. No. Sorry. Okay, I have to. Okay, so Saint text messages me this comic strip, right? And I'm reading it when I'm on the phone with Mr. Suave from West Coast Bias. And basically, it's Batman facing off against Superman, but Superman dispatches with Batman like in minutes. Like he hits him with the heat vision, blows some cold wind on him, makes him an icicle, and kicks him into the sun. Right?
Oh, no, I know what you're talking about.
Right after he does it, Alfred walks
up
with the note. And I was just like, that's so cold. And even Suave was like, but that's so Batman. But that is so like how Batman is. Like, so go ahead.
Oh, I sent that to Jamil, right?
Did you? What did he say?
Oh man, Jamil thought it was hilarious, but I was like, "This is for you." Say always talking about Batman is trash. Yeah, he is trash all the way to the end. Fuck you, Bruce.
And for those of you who know him,
like that was the big middle finger to Clark, dude.
In an epic moment during Crisis, they go to Earth. I forgot which Earth
99.
they called it. Was it 99? And they run into, but it's in the year 2046. And they run into Bruce Wayne, who's played by none other than Kevin Conroy, the man who's been the voice of Bruce Wayne for the past 27 years in just about every animated DC movie, TV show, etc.
Well, no. It wasn't 20. No, it was current time because 2046 was Earth 16, where the other Green Arrow was. Where the other Oliver Queen.
Okay, so it was current time.
Yeah, where old man Oliver was.
Well, but Bruce was in a what is that called? He had on a suit. He had on a friggin' thing that held his body together.
On that brace. Yeah, you've read Kingdom Come, right, Alpha?
What's that?
Have you read Kingdom Come?
Kingdom Come. Describe it to me. Sounds familiar.
That's the one where Superman, where the newer generation of heroes were more, they were fighting amongst the prodigies, and Superman had retired because the Joker killed. What happened is that the Joker killed. Like kind of like what happened with Superman. The Joker had took a gas and blew it through the Daily Planet. Superman captured him, put him on trial. This brand new superhero came in, killed the Joker. They put him on trial. They let him go, and then Superman left and never came back. Years later, the new generation of heroes, they killed every single criminal, and they became so bored they started fighting amongst each other, and then the human race just got tired of it and decided we're going to kill heroes or whatever. So Superman comes back, brings a new Justice League. It's kind of like Civil War.
Yeah,
and the whole thing comes to a fault. Yeah.
I think I remember because
the whole thing comes
one of the most popular Superman costumes is Superman Kingdom Come.
Yeah. That's another one. I think they're going to end up doing that one. But I think they're going to do an Infinite Crisis first. I think that's going to be the next one.
I wouldn't be too far out of the books. Are we ready for Alpha's editions, Kevin?
Oh, yes. For sure.
Perfect. All right, so we're all in the know of DC animated movies, all right?
Okay.
Like we're caught up with them, aren't we? Like among us three.
Yeah.
All right, then straight up, give me what is your best. Like out of all of them, if you look around, which one is number one to you? Which one is the best DC animated movie right now?
Ooh, animated
2019.
movies.
Yeah, the DC animated movies. Because I know those ones. I don't know about you guys. I think they're the strongest things that DC has going right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to bow out because I'm sorry. I thought you meant the MCU or the DCEU, like the movie, or the DCMU. Sorry, my bad. The animated movies I am not too caught up on. The last one I saw was well before Killing Joke, so like I haven't watched one in a while.
Okay, I can help you with that.
What about you?
Well, I'm stuck between two. I know that Public Enemies is one of my favorite ones. That story alone, man, brings prominence. I'm stuck on that one. Gotham by Gaslight, but definitely I would have to say The Dark Knight Returns.
Ooh, okay.
The Dark Knight Returns, because yet again, like Crisis, The Dark Knight Returns was a very important book. That is one of the best stories ever told in the DC universe by far, next to Crisis.
Okay.
Yeah. They did right.
I do agree on the front that Gotham by Gaslight is fucking amazing.
Oh,
Gotham
absolutely.
by Gaslight is very underrated in the grand scheme of the DC animated movies.
Oh, absolutely.
But for me, it's really good. If anybody listening hasn't seen Gotham by Gaslight, I'd easily say that's one of the top 5 best. And if you haven't checked that out either online or physically, please do that. But for me, my favorite would have to be Under the Red Hood.
Okay.
If you haven't seen Under the Red Hood, it's fucking fantastic. And Jensen Ackles does a spectacular job as voicing Jason Todd. And if you don't know, Jensen Ackles is like one half of the guys from Supernatural, which came out of completely left field for me to see him voice him and do such a great job at it. And although Under the Red Hood is my favorite, if I had to pick one that is objectively just the best, it's The Killing Joke, without a doubt.
Okay. I like The Killing Joke. There are certain parts of The Killing Joke that I did not agree with because it took away. They did something. There's a part in there that should have never been added. They should have just did it to me verbatim. I'm sorry. That thing with Bruce and Barbara, no. No, I did not agree. I did not agree with that under any circumstances, bro. They took that kind of took away the appeal for me. I mean, it was, because I'm kind of a book purist when it comes to certain stuff. If there's a way, especially if the story is old, that's why I'm not like really tripping off a Crisis with the Arrowverse, because I read the book and their interpretation of it is great. But when you mess too much with the original story, it kind of takes away the flavor of it. It really does. Like they did with Superman and Doomsday, the first Superman Death to Superman movie. The first one where, he came back as the clone and, they did that and not the updated one, which I love the updated one. But it kind of takes away from that. It's like certain stories you got to keep as it is. You gotta keep as it is, man.
I get that. If anybody listening on the show knows for a fact that I'm a big purist when it comes to making sure things are accurate, very close or very accurate to the source material. I can't stand it when big things are changed like that. So trust me, I completely understand that.
Yeah.
But for me, especially in style, in the way that everything with The Killing Joke came in the way everything looked, and the way that everything was almost as dark as it possibly could be, it really put it into perspective how sickening the Joker character is supposed to be.
Yeah. All right, so I've got.
I respect your opinion on that, though. Go ahead.
I'll say I've got one quick side note something that me and Suave were talking about earlier in regards to the Marvel movies, where where both me and him feel Marvel missed an opportunity, and it was kind of because of their whole struggles with Netflix. In Endgame and Infinity War, they missed opportunities to bring in the Netflix universe into the MCU and establish it as a part of the same universe. They missed multiple opportunities, primarily because they had even in the first, when did Jessica Jones season 1 happen? Like right around the beginning of Avengers, right? Right around the time that the first Avengers movie came out.
Real early on.
Right. So you have this big major event that happens in New York, but yet shows that are about people in the Bronx and some of the outer boroughs of New York don't even talk about it or recognize it or acknowledge it, or even vice versa. Hold on, and I even flipped it on this sense, and this is kind of what I wanted to throw out there. Tony Stark, Avengers Tower, pardon me real quick. Avengers Tower sits in the center of New York, right? You mean to tell me a bulletproof dude, a dude that runs around in a devil mask at night, and a dude with a glowy fist, and a bitch that can punch through a wall, all fucking missed his radar, but the kid in the spider pants didn't? You see what I'm saying? It just doesn't sit right with me. They missed the boat on that one to be able to establish them. And then, of course, the missed boat on Endgame, where, they could have showed them they could have given them just a simple scene of them stepping through, stepping through a portal, ready to help fight Thanos. They could have just showed them to establish them there. But you have all this shit happening in New York. Doctor Strange is in New York. Avengers Tower is in New York. The Chitauri were in New York. And somehow, Queens, the Bronx, none of these places were affected. All the boroughs were fine. Just the city of New York and Manhattan were affected. Yep, right. Come on now.
It's funny when you consider how not quiet everybody on the Netflix shows is. Like, everybody and their mom literally knows that Frank Castle went on a fucking murdering spree for like a week. And
but yet
everyone
somehow
knows that
the Avengers never know about these motherfuckers.
Exactly.
Well, you know what?
But he's able to pick up on Spider-Man, who literally has like goggles and sweatpants as a suit at the time, right?
Well, you know what? Hey, I got something that can help that theory out just a little bit. It may be crazy, but you think about this though. Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D., them being who they are, they look for people that may be, serious threats. I'm not saying that, the other ones weren't big threats, but it's like, remembering Captain America, he says we take the threats as they are, and whatever, it may be,
so they don't see him as a threat, but you can't tell me that they didn't think that they could help with some of these world-saving events.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you could. Here's my idea to give them a quick shout out of the original Avengers without actually including them in the ultimate storyline. Is you could have had that scene when they're panning through New York and the Chitauri are all coming down. You could have had Luke Cage just randomly grab one, slam it to the ground. You don't have to give them a line. They're just in the background helping. They all live in the same universe. They're just in the background helping. And I get that.
Well, I get that, but see, here's the thing, and then you got to remember why. And in some sense, it's like, to New Yorkers, it might make sense, it may not. Yeah. But I mean, they did kind of make lightweight mention of the heroes in the series, because I know Iron Man was mentioned one time. Yeah. I remember I seen a newspaper clipping. I don't know if it was Thor. I can't remember which shows it were, but New York is spread by 5 boroughs, so you have Manhattan, where most of the stuff with the Avengers was happening. Spider-Man took place in Queens. Now, for Jessica Jones, you might be right. I will give you that with Jessica Jones, because I think Jessica Jones was in Manhattan, but Luke Cage was in Harlem. So, Not everybody. I can say, not everybody's going to catch everybody's event, but I can understand what you're saying. At least they could have.
I'll say it like this then. If not the Avengers radar, they for damn sure ain't slipping under S.H.I.E.L.D.'s radar. Like, S.H.I.E.L.D., they could have just plain acknowledged that they existed, with Nick Fury. You're like, yeah, we got, I got, like, in casual conversation, like he mentioned so many other things. Yeah, there's a bulletproof dude down in Brooklyn. Like just randomly mention it. Like it doesn't have to be these a big thing where they actually include the actors in and they have lines and all that, but just acknowledge that so basically you're telling me everything that happened, including the Defenders, movie, all happened in some other universe. You see what I'm saying? The superheroes exist, but maybe the events that happened on this Earth didn't necessarily happen in those other universes. I don't know.
But see,
but it just bugs me.
And that's crazy, man. But there should have been some way, and that's one of the reasons why I can't ever get mad at DC, because, with Marvel, how you gonna make? I thought this was supposed to have been all canon. All of it, to me, from when it first started, it was supposed to have been all of this was canon. Yeah. S.H.I.E.L.D. included, because there were episodes of S.H.I.E.L.D. that were affected or directly affected the movie preceding it or right after it, like they did with Thor in the Dark World, and what they did with Captain America, and taking that. When S.H.I.E.L.D. took that ship and sent it to Nick Fury, and it showed up on, Age of Ultron. Yep. That helicarrier. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's one of those type of
and they just went away
deals where it just went poof. It disappeared, and now everything else is continuity with these TV shows you got coming up. Like, what happened? Yep. Did S.H.I.E.L.D. take place in a pocket universe or something?
I think so.
That's why I like. And that's why I like DC, because now everything that's happened pretty much in DC's TV is canon. Yeah. The Superman movies are canon.
Yep.
I can go back and watch. I can go back and really watch Superman Returns and be proud of it, and come back and watch this fucking these final two chapters, man. And really.
Oh, last one before we go, because we didn't been at this an hour now. We'll say my line. Brandon Routh fights Tyler Holcomb, Superman v Superman, and because he's taken over by Lex Luthor, which Lex Luthor is hilarious as well. John Cryer, one of the best Lex Luthors ever. I'm sorry, he just is.
Easily, no doubt.
Yeah, but he goes. They fight each other. They finally get him out of Brandon Routh out of Lex Luthor's control. And Tyler Hogan looks at him and goes, "You okay?" He goes, this isn't the first time I went crazy and fought myself." I was just like, I love the little jokes. I love it. Like they make the entire thing that much even more better. Like, and like I said, Lex Luthor, John Cryer, he just has all the great lines and all the great like one-liners throughout the entire series. So,
very hard not to love him. Very hard.
And I'm not surprised that they're not bringing Ali back, but I'm surprised they didn't give him a farewell goodbye with like. No, bro, it ain't over. Oh my goodness. Bro, gotta let. Oh, Ali is coming back. Oh, he's not done. As a matter of fact, if for anybody out there that's reading, that read Crisis, they should know that Crisis can't happen without the one element. Remember, the clue was given to you right there when Jim Corrigan showed up. Yeah,
guy with the beard that showed up at the end of chapter 3. And straight up told him, like, hey, you got a higher there's purpose. Something else. Yeah, you got a higher purpose. That right there, Jim Corrigan, was the Spectre.
Nice.
And the Spectre is the Spectre is very, very critical. Like, the fight without Spectre, that can, man, I would debunk. I would like to find out how they would even come up with another, because the elements of magic was a partial of the reason, all of the, whether they were good or evil, got together and did some stuff, but the Spectre was a big part of that, of that ending. So yeah, that's he's supposed to be next.
The Spectre is the massive green hooded one. That's like one of the top 3 biggest magical entities in the DC universe, right?
Yeah, he is what is to DC what Ghost Rider is to Marvel. Nice. He is the spirit of vengeance.
Right.
Nice. All right.
That fight.
All right, and on that note, we're going to go ahead and take this commercial break real quick, run a couple podcast promos, and then we're going to come back and talk some tables, ladders, and chairs, gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Cheap Pop Podcast right here on the 4Aces Presents Radio Network, Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Interruption in progress. Now hijacking into ANS 2.0 immersion rig. Now simulating the Amazing Nerd Show. Featuring comics.
And Batman's like, you're safe here and everything, but the Joker all of a sudden pulls out a gun and shoots himself.
Movies.
People fight with lightsabers. What the hell do you want? I mean, in every one of these movies, there's a lightsaber battle.
Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna rewatch it a million times.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, give me something more.
Wrestling.
That would be awesome. Oh my god, just a monster. Fans would be like, holy, what the hell's going on? What happened to Jericho?
Horror.
It starts off like any other home invasion type of story, and then it just goes crazy.
And more.
Hey, this is Christian.
Hey, this is Damon.
And we are the Amazing Nerd Show.
Make sure to download us on all your favorite podcast platforms.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled D-A, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the ghosts of the stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests, as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
Game ticket, $50. Hot dog, $8. Team store item, $25.
I told him I can beat him with one hand tied behind my back, with some glasses on, with one eye lens out, with some flip-flops on in the ring.
Haven't you listened to someone's dumb sports opinions? Worthless. Some people shouldn't talk sports. For everyone else, there's the Unspoken Podcast, available on most podcasting platforms, and on the web at theunsporkensportspodcast.weebly.com.
Yo, what's up, y'all? Oops, let me stop that. There we go. Sorry. Sometime the outro plays when I don't want it to. There we go. All right. Show ain't over yet. we still got a lot more talking to do. So,
Part 2.
All right, y'all. So, for those of y'all who were living under a rock, TLC took place this last week on Sunday. Or was it? No, was it? It wasn't. Yes, yeah. It was. Yeah, it was this last Sunday.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
So, but before we get to at NXT, because there was kind of this epic match for the ages that went down between Ciampa. Huh? What's up?
Which one?
Well, shit. There was a bunch of them. The only segment that was hard for me to watch was the Rhea Ripley, Shayna Baszler section. That was the only one that was really hard for me to watch. Like, I don't know why. Like, seeing them choke her, pull on her arms like that and choke her while she was choking her from behind, I was like, yeah, that's not, no. It's a little too brutal for me. I'm good.
Oh, that was the episode before. But yeah, no, that was
it?
A little bit hard to watch.
Yeah.
It is a testament, though, to Rhea Ripley as a character that she needs 3 different women to bring her down single-handedly, though.
Yeah,
that's a testament. That's character work.
But the match I'm speaking of is the match between Finn Balor, Tommaso Ciampa, and bask in his glory. Oh, bask in his glory. The one and only.
Fucking Keith Lee.
Yes, sir. And I wanted him to win that match so bad, man. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, no, y'all got to get this to Keith Lee. He is the hottest product y'all got going right now.
In a perfect world. But you can't tell me the thought of Balor versus Cole doesn't sound bad. You can't tell me that doesn't sound good.
Well, see, the problem with the match in the first place was that any of the 3 of them would make an epic match with Adam Cole. Keith Lee, that's my dog right now. Like, it's got to be Keith Lee.
That's America's sweetheart right now.
Right now.
No doubt, though. These last 3 weeks, Keith Lee has solidified himself as fucking America's wrestling baby right now.
Yep.
Rightfully so, because Keith Lee is the shit and a half. Don't get me wrong, but fucking...
It is. It's just the truth, man. That man can go in the ring. Like, I'm like, he's like Samoa Joe, but bigger.
It's weird with a body like Vader fighting like fucking Rob Van Dam. You see him do rolling savate and picture perfect moonsaults that dude's half his size can't do.
Yep.
And above all else, Keith Lee just fucking oozes character.
Yes, charisma, big time.
Yeah, I've seen. Listen, when I started really getting into to NXT, and I seen this guy, I was like, damn, this dude is big. You know what I'm saying? And just seeing him move, and when I seen him do that moonsault, I was like, oh my god, this guy's this is a big dude, but he's pulling this off, man. So I like his style, man. Especially when he was in that triple threat match to get the belt, and his movement in the ring to me was phenomenal. I'm really starting to enjoy NXT as well too, though, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the great thing about NXT right now is you're never going to get bad matches. Like they're not all epic level. Well, on the men's side, they have a large selection of epic wrestlers. You know what I'm saying? On the women's side, they have a couple. They have Rhea Ripley, they have Shayna Baszler, they have Bianca Belair. Mia Yim is Like she's gained a lot of respect from me in recent weeks, but she's still.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, though. Above all else, NXT has a stacked roster, dude.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to look at NXT's roster and not handpick a massive amount of people who deserve to be at the top of the pick.
Oh yeah.
But
Shoot,
you're
I'll
right.
Though,
though,
like
NXT
this. We ain't even seen Velveteen
very
Dream in
normal,
3 weeks.
good matches. No, because he's on injury, isn't he?
Is he? Okay, I didn't even know. Like, I just know that we haven't seen Velveteen Dream. We were seeing him every week for a while there, and we haven't seen him since. And so I'm like, where's the Velveteen Dream? I like me some VD.
I know. You can't come in and make the wrestling world love you and then just fucking disappear like that.
You know? Now, see, here's an interesting thing with NXT. NXT, I found this out recently. Despite all the stuff that's going on with Survivor Series and all that, NXT is still kind of looked at as a step back from the main roster. And that's baffling to me because I'm like, talent-wise, just like as always, NXT is just leaps and bounds above Raw and SmackDown as far as match quality.
Oh, no doubt. No, in terms of just, if you're looking at match quality alone, NXT is leagues above better than main roster. It's substantially more just watchable.
Right. And but my thing is I still have thoughts like this. Would the character of Velveteen Dream do as well on Raw or SmackDown outside of the confines of Full Sail?
I've thought about that. Velveteen Dream specifically, actually, I've sat down and thought about. Because I look at the Dream, and I don't know about you, but I feel like he actually could have a genuine future if he were to go to Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah,
I feel like he's that characterized and dialed up that there's no doubt that he could succeed. But there is the yearning thought, of course, of, they're going to ruin him.
Yeah, they're going to ruin it in some way. Or they're not going to take advantage of his initial pop, a la Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah,
because
they'll
Shinsuke
let him
Nakamura
come in, they'll do something good, and then they'll actually do something with him 6 months later if we're lucky.
And I'll be specific. They fucked up with Nakamura by not having him win the title off of AJ Styles at WrestleMania. Like,
you think that should have been his crowning moment?
Yeah, I thought that should have been his crowning moment because he was white hot at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was at the point where he was coming out and everybody was singing his theme song, and you know what I'm saying? And he was just white hot at that moment. And they just, to me, they killed. It's the same thing that they did with Asuka. They killed like 3 years worth of building momentum by having Charlotte beat her at WrestleMania. That should have been her crowning moment.
That pisses me off still.
You know,
they built up Asuka for like 3 years straight, only to feed her to Charlotte with no fanfare.
Well, you know what?
I
agree.
I don't use that. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was going to say, I can agree with that, and especially with, to me, the Asuka moment when she lost. Yeah. Okay, to me that was kind of like just below the level of when the Undertaker lost his first match. It was like, what the hell?
Oh yeah,
you build this up, and then all of a sudden, that. But it was like one of those killjoys that you want to forgive them, but you don't do it just right away. You know what I mean? Like, that's the politics of what may be happening, but it's kind of like a Roman Reigns moment.
Yeah.
It's good that you get booed, but then it's never good when you're trying to push a certain product.
Right.
I don't know. I just hope they don't ruin, because I like the Velveteen Dream. I've seen him, do it. I've seen him do his thing, and I like the Street Profits too.
Oh,
those guys. I hope that they don't get ruined with, we want the smoke.
Oh, bro, hold up. You just brought up one thing for me real quick, though. This, at the end, or at TLC, the Street Profits had my moment without really even doing anything. They were in back, and they were doing their classic promo, and all of a sudden they pan over, and Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin and everybody are fighting each other backstage, and they're all tumbling around, and then the Street Profits are just sitting there watching everybody, and all of a sudden, randomly, they just go, and start hitting people, and join in, and I was just like, that was awesome. They didn't really even say anything, and that was possibly one of their best backstage segments, because of the way that they looked when everybody came battling through, and they were just like, fuck it, everybody else fighting, why not us?
I was going to say, it's all in their fucking face, bro.
Exactly.
All in their face.
But yeah,
the Street Profits are very hard not to love.
Yeah.
Like at first it was instantaneous, like, they debuted on NXT and everybody was dancing with them and everything, and now you look at it like, that wasn't even a full 2 years ago, I think.
Yep.
And these guys are tearing it up.
They are. In ring and
it's interesting because I've said this before, but you very, very rarely find people like the Street Profits that are as entertaining in the ring as they are outside of it 100% of the time.
Yes. Oh, did you see the spot on, I think it was Raw last week, where they did the mocking of the, sorry, I'm a little sick, so whenever I talk too much, I get a little tickle in the back of my throat, causes a cough. When they did the Saturday Night Live weekend update.
Yeah.
It was the weekend after Raw update or something like that. And, yeah, man.
They said some shit on that. Fucking Montez Ford referenced his fucking boner, and it was just like, yo, they're really letting him do this.
Yeah. and they having fun with it, and I love it. I love every bit of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay. So yeah, so getting back to NXT. Like I said, just talent wise, they're leaps and bounds. But yeah, my only worry would be like you said. I don't know if WWE would be able to let him be him. They would have, like they're still trying to keep this PG-13 type rating, and I'm like, Velveteen Dream ain't exactly PG.
Yeah.
Like
every other line is a sexual innuendo.
You know what he reminds me of, but done way better? Do you remember Orlando Jones?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I do.
He was a sidekick
actually.
for Booker T, and then randomly towards the end of his career, he did that bisexual character.
When he was in TNA.
Yeah.
When he went to TNA, and they were like, "You're bisexual, so that's your gimmick now."
Yeah.
And he would come out with a guy and a dude. I mean, with a guy and a chick on the other end.
Like, and so like, Velveteen Dream reminds me of him, but done so much better. Like but Velveteen Dream is to me what he should have been, like what they were trying to get with that character. Not to say Velveteen Dream is bisexual or anything like that, or Patrick, the dude who plays him, is. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying like he's what that Orlando Jones character could have been had they done it right in TNA. Like they didn't do much right in TNA. But had they done it right. But yeah, like it just reminded me of that. Like I don't know, like but I think that initially, if they did something right away with him, they brought him in white hot. I think Velveteen Dream could be successful, but it would be all on the writers how successful he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Thinking about that, it's comparable to when I realized that Baron was supposed to be everything in tone that Aleister Black is. Yeah.
And Aleister Black is man. I love me some Aleister Black.
Oh my fucking god. We're going to get to his match later on when we talk about TLC. His match with Buddy Murphy was fucking schmack. But on NXT we saw possibly the final match between Lio Rush and Angel Garza.
That was an amazing match.
Yeah, exactly. No, the set of matches that Garza and Rush have had is some of the best in recent memory. I think that's up for feud of the year, in my opinion, because they've been at each other's throats.
Yep.
And the matches that they've had were fucking great. They've done the whole 9 yards, trading finishers with each other, using each other's moves,
high flying,
barely kicking out. Exactly. They killed it. And if this is the final match that those two are going to have, then fucking I'm content, because that was a good ass match.
So here's a quick question.
Everything.
Do you think that the whole Garza asking his girlfriend to marry him, do you think that was all kayfabe, or do you think that's actually his girlfriend? He actually asked her. He actually proposed to her in the ring.
Damn. See, like, if his gimmick wasn't that he's, the suave Mexican badass that he is, I wouldn't even consider this being in kayfabe. But because that's his gimmick, it might be a work completely, huh?
Yeah, like it caught me because it's like, was that really a moment that they needed to come back and show us on TV? You see what I'm saying? Or could that have been just one of those moments that the live crowd got to enjoy, and maybe we heard about afterwards, but we never really saw it on TV?
True. If this wasn't kayfabe, then they probably wouldn't have shown it on live TV right after the show, right?
That's kind of my thought. That's kind of my thought. That could have been put on YouTube as an extra clip. If it was a real life thing, it didn't have to be shown specifically live on air like that. So that's the only thing that has me thinking whether or not it was a work or not.
If it is a work, then we'll see it come up then.
Right. But if it's not a work, congratulations to him and his girlfriend on getting engaged.
Everybody in NXT is getting fucking married now, dude. Yeah. It was Leo, Aleister, fucking Roderick Strong just had his kid, who I didn't know. Dude, did you know that the mother of Roderick Strong's son is one of the females that Shayna Baszler has running around with him?
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
That's his baby's mama, dude.
Wow. That partially explains why she has a job. No, I'm not messing with you.
No, fucking the other one that isn't, the tall, lanky, blonde one.
Yeah.
The one opposite of her. That's Roderick Strong's wife.
Wow.
And my mom burst into my room to tell me that the other night. But, and then, of course, there was the main event, the triple threat match that fucking stole the show. 3 men putting in work. I think Ciampa really has a spot for himself, because it's clear that he does really good in multi-man matches.
Yeah. Big time. He kills it. From the War Games match to the Survivor Series match. Yeah, he does really, really well in multi-man matches. Well, so let me be the first to say this before we dive into TLC. And I know y'all will agree with this, but I'm over, and I said this to you guys earlier, I'm over Bobby Lashley and fucking Rusev and Lana, and that whole storyline needs to fucking take a long walk off a short fucking pier and never come back. Because I'm just done with it. I'm over it. I'm over Lana's voice. And mind you, 5 years ago when Lana first hit the scene, I was the dude like, Lana, oh my God, Lana. Now I'm like, dude, can you please put something in that bitch's mouth so she will shut the fuck up? I am tired of hearing her talk. I'd rather hear Brock Lesnar talk than Lana at this point.
Dude,
that's how bad it is.
Listen, when the whole storyline started, oh gosh, I'm like, really? And then it's going on this long. It's like, a broken record that doesn't need to keep getting picked up, or that song that somebody keeps playing and it's like worse than water torture on the forehead. You know what I mean? So
real talk.
Oh, man, you're right. Man, you're not wrong. I don't think I've seen an angle as universally hated as this in a while. Like, all I can think back to is the Bayley "This Is Your Life" segment, or all the way back to the last Rusev fucking wife swapping angle with Dolph Ziggler a while back, if y'all remember that.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Either way, it's just like, I look at this and it kills me, because Bobby Lashley has only been here for less than 2 years now, off of one of the hottest runs in TNA in his fucking career. Rusev is hot off of the Rusev Day tag team, where you saw fucking 40,000 people chanting Rusev Day in WrestleMania.
Yep.
And not even 2 years later, you see them in hands on one of the worst angles I've seen in a very long time.
Oh my God.
Fucking
and I was hoping,
saddening, especially knowing what they're capable of.
I was hoping the TLC match would bring closure to that, and it didn't. And we'll get into that later, but it didn't. It didn't. It's continuing on. Why? Why WWE?
Taking us to the Mania, boys.
Have both of you guys seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back?
Yes.
The scene when Ben Affleck is reaming into Jay and Silent Bob, and he's talking about Silent Bob, and he's like, "Why? Oh, why, Lord? Can't you get me away from this dingus?" Like, and he's saying, "That's how I feel. Why? Just why, Vince McMahon? You don't like me now anymore, do you, Vince McMahon? Because for a while we was getting along, and then you came with this bullshit. Just stop." Stop. Oh, anyway.
Oh, man. The day that Vince McMahon takes overhead control, this is the day we'll see people like Rusev and Cesaro actually fucking get somewhere.
Yeah.
Because it's clear he has it out for them two specifically, among fucking them and Dolph Ziggler.
Because
I'm confident. So long as we see Vince McMahon at the helm of this, those three dudes, above all else, they're not going anywhere. They're keeping in that little mid-card spot.
It's just ridiculous, man. Yeah. So I said all of that to bring up the fact that this Monday on Raw, we literally had Lana tell Bobby Lashley to ask her to marry her. Yeah, I wanted to shoot my TV. If it wasn't for the fact that I was still making payments on it, I probably would have. And I don't even own a gun. I would have went out and bought one just to shoot my TV for showing me that.
I was going to say, you could have just went and did a movie review.
Yeah, threw my soda at it. Yeah. No, okay. So just a quick throwback to that. Basically, that goes back to episode 1. I told Saint before I went in to see episode 1 for the first time that if this movie sucked, I was going to give it my movie review. And that is, I was going to pick up my soda, chuck it at the screen, fucking get up and walk out the damn movie. Luckily for them, the movie was good enough that I did not chuck my soda at the screen and get up and walk out.
Well, wait a minute. We were all together. We were all together. So we were waiting for you to do that.
And I still swear to you, if I had saw the Marine in the theater, I would have gotten up, picked up somebody else's soda, even if I didn't have one, thrown it at the screen, and walked out.
Borrow that shit real quick. Chucks it.
Fuck this movie. But anyway, so yeah, Have you seen any single clip from the new animated Harley Quinn movie real quick?
Have I seen what?
The animated one?
Any new?
Or actually, yes. The only one I've seen is the one where she's talking to the Joker and he asks for the Wi-Fi password.
Oh my God, Harley Quinn! Oh yeah, bro, that show is fucking awesome, man. I mean, dude, so it's funny as it is funny as hell, bro. Like that shit is hilarious.
Fucking the clip where they're watching the TV and they bring up Harley Quinn, and then they bring up another villain. And Joker's like, who the fuck is even this guy? He's not as funny as me. And he goes to one of his henchmen and he's like, who's funnier than me? And the guy's like, Harley Quinn. And the Joker's literally like, no, women aren't funny. And he just fucking kills him. And then,
women aren't funny? Damn, that's cold. Yeah.
He's just like, no, women aren't funny. He just fucking pops him 3 times in the chest. In like full view too. Like no censor, no nothing. Just blap, blap, done.
Oh yeah, it's like, and I know they had it. Did anybody see it on TBS? Because I didn't get a chance to see it on TBS. I watched it on the DC Universe app. So I know they had to do a whole bunch of beeps and stuff. I can imagine. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that, man, I'm telling you, like the F word, the F bomb was dropped so much, man.
A lot, dude. No, they did not play. They pulled no punches with that at all, and I love it. I'm sorry about that, though. I should have brought that up on the first half, but TLC, though.
Okay.
As you said, we came in with a lot of different matches, and for me, one that actually stuck out was the Lashley and Rusev angle, that match.
It was a good match. The angle sucks, but those two can go in the ring. Like, it was a great match. That tables match was awesome. I just didn't like the ending.
I realized that I was actually enjoying it.
Yeah. So.
But completely. You're right. It's a horrible angle, but for what it was a good match, even if the finish was exactly as you would expect it to be.
And okay, I'll point out to you right now exactly where my issue was with the finish. This should have been the end of the feud. Rusev should have won, and this should be over. Bobby Lashley and Lana should disappear into the starlight, and Rusev should start rising to fight for titles. This should have been the end of the year, end of the decade, end of the storyline, over. it genuinely should have been. And so the thing that upset me is the fact that Bobby Lashley won, which means this shit's going to keep going on. And we're heading into WrestleMania season, which we know if they don't end it by Royal Rumble, that means we're going to have to watch this shit all the way till WrestleMania.
Goddamn right. Don't jinx it. If this shit goes to Mania, I'm blaming you. All
right. But do you see why I was disappointed? I wasn't necessarily disappointed with the finish because of who won. I was disappointed with the finish because of who won and what it means.
It's the implications that now this shit ain't over.
Right. We already had damn near 2-3 months of this shit, or at least it feels like 2-3 months. I don't know if it's actually been that long, but we didn't have damn near 2-3 months of this shit.
and that's 2 or 3 months too long, damn it.
Exactly. And like I said, and it's got to end before Royal Rumble. It's got to.
Oh, gosh, please.
Because if they carry this shit into WrestleMania season, I am writing a strongly worded letter to Vince McMahon directly.
We will literally have been complaining for this for 3 months straight, if that's where it goes. If that's where this shit goes.
Anyway.
But aside from that debacle, that fucking blemish of a match.
Yes, but once again, I come back to the fact that the TLC match wasn't bad. It was a great match.
Yeah, it was. if we're talking in terms of match quality, this pay-per-view was a solid fucking B+. No doubt.
Oh yeah, but I would say. Go ahead.
No, you go first.
Well, I would say match of the night goes to the guy that you were talking about earlier. And no offense to all the championship matches because they were amazing, but Aleister Black versus Buddy Murphy, I need me some more of that.
Honestly, I've been preaching it for months now that Buddy Murphy is undoubtedly the fucking cruiserweight right now. Yep. And that match only did further to push that. Buddy Murphy is a fucking talent. And Aleister Black doesn't know what it means to have a bad match, so of course that was a match of the night.
Yep.
I didn't get to see Buddy pull his finisher, though. I don't know about you, but I love Buddy's finisher, the Murphy's Law, the pump handle Death Valley Driver.
Yes. And, I can tell you this right now. Like, that move, that damn move of Aleister Black's. Nice. That damn...
All the black mass?
Oh, God, that kick just looks like it hurts so goddamn much.
Yeah, it makes the bro kick look like a
like the bro kick, he has to be coming at him from a certain way. Like, I like it when Sheamus bounces off the ropes and hits somebody with a bro fist, and they actually take it. Like, they don't try to take it to the side or something like that. They actually eat that damn foot to the face. I like it. It looks impressive then. But it don't matter what you do, Aleister Black is going to land his foot directly on your fucking jaw for that black mass, and you just better be ready for it.
Don't forget how, unbelievably protected that move is. Do you know that there's only been a handful of people that have dodged that move, and even less people that have kicked out of that move?
Really?
Nice. I'm pretty sure the only man that's kicked out of that move clean is Ciampa.
Damn.
And if you don't remember, 9 months to a year back, Aleister Black actually broke Lars Sullivan's fucking jaw.
Really? No, I don't remember that.
A long time ago, I think maybe a year now, or a little over a year, when Aleister Black was NXT champion, he had a match with Lars Sullivan at TakeOver. And in the final portion of the match, I shit you not, literally the final 45 seconds, that jumping knee that Aleister goes to?
Yeah.
That he uses a lot before he goes straight to the finish. He did that to Lars, and Lars just stops and grabs his jaw. And blood starts pooling out of his mouth, and immediately he just finishes the match right there. It's immediate. Black mass, one and done, and Lars is on the fucking mat holding his jaw because I saw the x-ray. It's broken, not fractured. There is a 1-inch gap between one half of his jaw and the other.
Sir, damn. I think we have a competitor for King of Hardstyle. I think we have a competitor with Nakamura for King of Strong Style. Wow, dude. That's
nasty.
Yeah. Because when they showed the replay on Buddy Murphy and they kind of slow motioned it from the moment that he made contact, I was just like, yeah, that hurt. Buddy just ate all of that foot. He just wanted it for dinner. He
took that shit like a champ.
Yeah, he did. And so, yeah, man, and I'll say there's a lot of wrestlers that their finishers, if they hit them in the right way, they look pretty impressive. But like I said, that black mass, it don't matter what way you hit it. It looks impressive.
I do like the consistency. If you've noticed, Cesaro and Buddy Murphy's matches with Aleister Black have ended the same exact way.
Yeah.
It was a little fucking combo blitz that all ended with just one black mass and then one and done. That's it.
Done. Yep. And okay, I get why they're building him up, but I love to play the long game. But I feel like we've been playing the long game a little too long here with Aleister Black. Like ever since they had separated him from Ricochet, we've been playing this long game and he ain't really do something. I feel like I'm poking him with a stick. Do something, dude.
Do something.
Fucking do something. Like, you got all this great talent and everything. Do something.
No, I've been preaching it for a long time. Can you think of the work that he can do for like the U.S. title or some shit like that?
Yeah, no shit. Oh, real quick, just off subject, real quick. Speaking about people's names, real quick. I'm about to speak about people's names. I'm sorry, bro. I like the tag team. It's nice that they brought him in off the independents, but I'm sorry. And it's only because of one of these three names is this, to me, the stupidest trio name out there. I get what they're trying to reference. It's not a lack of understanding. Bunny needs to fucking go. Bunny needs to change her fucking name.
Who?
Butcher, Blade, and Bunny don't work for me. Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny just don't work for me. Gotta find a more vicious name for her. Like, I'm sorry. Like, see, even when she's talking shit, all I'm thinking of, your name's the Bunny. How the fuck am I supposed to take you seriously?
I'm blanking. What the fuck are you talking about?
The new tag team trio in AEW.
Oh, I'm blanking. Sorry, I didn't catch AEW.
Yeah, no. Remember when Cody got attacked a couple of weeks ago?
Oh.
And it was Butcher and the Blade. Well, the blonde bitch that's with him is called the Bunny.
Why?
And her name just does not work in that scenario for me. I get what they're trying to reference. Like, he's the Butcher, that dude's the Blade, and this is the Bunny that he's going to chop up for meat. I get it. But Bunny just doesn't work. Like, lose the Bunny. Pick a different name for her. Call her the cow.
The Bunny.
Call her the tiger. I don't give a fuck. But just stop calling her the Bunny. But anyway, back to WWE. I just had to bring that up. I don't know what triggered that memory. I just had to bring that up. It's been bothering me for a couple of weeks, and I just needed to say something about it.
Hold up, let me take a few minutes to dig into AEW real fast.
All right, for sure.
Fuck this tag team in particular. All right, keep going.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I just had to take my dig real quick. You know, but WWE, like you said, it was a strong way to end the year. The TLC pay-per-view.
I think so.
Even though, once again, here's what they did. Here's where they got me a lot of times. I didn't like the payoff with the Bobby Lashley Rusev feud. We've already established that. I don't need for me to go into that again. I didn't like the payoff with the Corbin Reigns match. And I didn't like the payoff with the main event. And those were my only issues. That's why I agree with you when I say B+, or else I would be saying it was an A pay-per-view.
Yeah, if not for the big fight, whatever the hell you want to refer to that.
Yeah, the big brawl.
The big brawl, whatever the hell you want to call it, it felt weirdly out of place, especially at the very end of the show.
Yeah.
If they had just dropped it with the Street Profits joining in and fucking it up, this would be an A+ pay-per-view for me. Not A+, but an A. Because all the matches were pretty clean. The only bad thing that I could think about, in my opinion, was really the ending of the Corbin match.
Yeah.
And the ending of the main event.
Yeah. Like I thought
everything else was clean. Even the world title match between Miz and Bray had surprisingly good ramifications for it.
Yeah. With Daniel Bryan. Yes.
Yeah. Daniel Bryan came back fully shaved, looking like he did when I was like fucking 9.
Yep. When he was on the original NXT.
Yeah, exactly. That's not Daniel Bryan anymore, kids. That's Bryan Danielson.
Yes, it is.
That's the American Dragon.
I don't know if they still keep in contact anymore. I don't believe they do. But at one time, the guy who came on before, the guy who owns the comic book company, Jamil, actually knew Daniel Bryan because they both worked for APW out in Hayward. Yeah. Like Matthias or Jamil trained, his wrestling name was Orlando Matthias, but he actually trained at the APW boot camp.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, so like he got to know Daniel Bryan, because Daniel Bryan was really big locally even before his run in ROH. He had been a part of the Best of the Indies tournament a couple of times. But yeah, you're right, Bryan Danielson. Like as soon as he took it off, I was like, oh, that's what we're going back to. All right, let's rock.
Oh yeah. So what you're telling me is, I can now see Bryan Danielson versus Prince Devitt.
Yes.
If we're all going back to roots now.
Yes. Oh yes. Please give us that match, please. But that would require bringing Finn Balor. Well, no, because they could do it at like the next year's Survivor Series.
Very true.
Because I have a feeling that we're going to continue with this triple threat Survivor Series thing with the 3 brands.
No doubt. I think it's going to come back up again. But real quick, as it seems we're probably going to hit the closing within the next 30 minutes or so, real quick. Do you remember what Worlds Collide is?
That's NXT versus NXT UK, correct?
No, it was actually NXT versus NXT UK versus 205 Live versus SmackDown and Raw.
Really?
But I think what I've heard they're leading up to is that it's actually going to be a pay-per-view now.
Right.
And it's going to be actually the pay-per-view, the NXT pay-per-view before Royal Rumble.
Right. But I thought that they were just
using versus NXT UK.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought they were just using. So they changed it. They dwindled it down to just those two instead of involving Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
But I wonder if NXT is going to be a part of Royal Rumble. Like if they're going to keep this 3-brand thing rolling with Royal Rumble and then with WrestleMania.
I think NXT is going to have a few members in the Royal Rumble, like these last few years.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm telling you right now, I am calling it. Adam Cole is a strong contender for the winner of that.
Yeah.
But no, I think NXT will have a few little tidbits in, but it won't be like NXT being a massive portion of it, like we saw in Survivor Series. Yeah.
But yeah, so okay, so I getting back to what I didn't like, the 3 things I was talking about I didn't like. I didn't like the Corbin Reigns ending because I thought that should have been a win for Reigns. But like you said, the biggest thing for me was just there were too many people to have to deal with one dude.
Yeah.
Like there were just way too many people.
Yeah, no, I just hate this because this isn't the first time that we've seen them just compile a shit ton of heels, throw them at Reigns, have Reigns fucking eat all of them, and then end of show, clap your hands, good night.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's what happened. And then I wasn't too fond of the Kabuki Warriors retaining after all the build-up of Lynch and Flair as a tag team. I thought that would have been the right moments for them to win the belts. I think if you give it to them anytime after that. Yeah, I think if you give it to them anytime after that, it really loses its impact. I think that would have been the moment, and that would have been the match for them to win it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if there was any time to do it, it would have been that night. And if they do it at any point going forward, it's not going to look right, and I think it's just going to be bad.
Yeah.
But maybe I do hope this is in favor of actually yeah, that's not a bad idea. But I do hope this is in favor of either a rematch with some type of heavy-ass match stipulation, or is just in favor of making the Kabuki Warriors a 2-fucking-woman power trip. Either way, I'll take it.
Have them win the whatchamacallit belt from Becky. Have Asuka win it because there's a lot of individual rivalry going on there between her and Asuka directly.
Yeah, exactly.
Have Asuka go in WrestleMania like to see Asuka that. 2 belts. I wouldn't mind that.
Like if they just gave Asuka literally all of the belts a female can hold, I shit you not, I wouldn't be mad.
Okay.
I'm not tripping.
So let's talk a little bit about the big reveal. We talked a little bit about TLC, about the big reveal that came out of last Monday night, leading into TLC, and then continuing this Monday night on Raw. ALP are burning it down with the one and only Seth Rollins. And he's going after I wonder if they're going to give him a 3-man power trip, because he's talking about he wants to claim all the power, and his first victim is going to be Rey Mysterio in the U.S. title.
I'm with it. We all know that Seth Rollins, Tyler Black, whatever you want to call him, works best as a disgusting, vile heel.
Yeah,
everybody knows that. If you look back on all the best runs of his career, it has been as a heel.
Right.
And with a lot more development behind it, and now with the AOP at his side, I think this is going to be a good-ass run for him.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a really, really clean run.
Well,
and
I could see him
the AOP are actually fucking doing something now, so I'm not going to be the guy to complain.
I'll say I could see them putting both the singles titles on him and then giving the AOP the tag team titles and having them
if it was anyone else, I probably wouldn't agree with you. But because we've seen Seth hold the world title and the U.S. Championship at one single moment, yeah, no, it's completely possible.
Yep. And then you give the AOP the tag team championships, and then they're the undisputed era of the main roster.
See?
So, but I will say this: I love the undisputed era. But how long have we had them having all the belts?
It's been a while. It's been a few months now. Oh wait, no, of all of them holding every belt. It's been maybe 2 or 3 months now.
I think going into 2020, like some point during WrestleMania season, they need to start dropping the belts. It's been long enough for the Undisputed Era to have their run. You can have Adam Cole be the last one to drop his belt at WrestleMania, or you can have all of them hold all the belts until WrestleMania and then drop them at WrestleMania or the NXT TakeOver event right before WrestleMania. But either way, by WrestleMania, there needs to be new champions in NXT. However,
I don't think they'll let them push it past. I don't think they'll let them push anywhere past the show before Mania.
Yeah,
they've had it for a real long time, and I don't know if you know, but Triple H personally fucking loves Adam Cole.
Yeah.
So I think that by WrestleMania season, there's no doubt that we're going to see the Undisputed Era move from the gold brand probably to the red brand.
Nice. That would be awesome. So, all right. So Alpha, hit us, brother. What you got for us?
Oh, you know I always bring the good shit. You know that your good friend Alpha is a practitioner of the Japanese wrestling variety, and I love to bring in some Japanese wrestlers because that is my shit. But if you are unfamiliar with the Japanese wrestling scene, I'm going to bring to you somebody who is on the rise, and that is Sanada, all caps.
Okay.
He's currently a part of the LIJ stable in New Japan, which is basically a team of very, very terrifying Japanese men who came to Japan from Mexican promotions.
Okay.
And Sanada's currently on the rise because he's having a feud with the one, the only Okada. And has been since around the G1. And you can only guess the caliber of matches that Sanada and Okada have had.
Okay.
But Okada himself has been around for a long time. He debuted in... Let me make sure I'm getting this right. Yep, okay, cool. 2007. And he started out in All Japan Pro, where he was trained. And then he moved to Wrestle One. And he actually found himself in Impact after that. He was actually X Division champion in Impact.
Okay.
And his look was a lot different back then. But eventually he would come to New Japan only in 2016, where he would join LIJ immediately, form a tag team with the likes of Evil, forming the now legendary Evil and Sanada, and he's been tearing it up ever since. He did a lot of work as a tag team at that point in the heavyweight and junior division, but with his current work and his new look in the G1, he's solidified himself as something more than just a tag team wrestler. One of the cleanest moonsaults in the game. His nickname is the fucking Cold Skull, which is one of the coolest nicknames I've heard in a long time.
Yeah.
If you're looking for notable matches, then you're going to want to look back at, of course, his matches that he's had with the GOD, the Guerrillas of Destiny. His matches with Okada, of course, are the stuff of legend. And he's actually had a lot of really good matches with his teammates, which is where my personal favorite matches of his are at. He's had matches with Evil and one with Naito that is absolutely fucking stellar. But those are notable matches. My wrestler of the week is Sonata. Do yourself a favor and check him out. Sonata gets the alpha stamp of approval.
Ka-chunk. There we go. All right, man. So I want to thank Saint, even though he's been quiet during this last about 45 minutes. Thanks, Saint, for joining us.
Oh, absolutely, man. I had a blast. I didn't want to, get in too much because I kind of missed TLC, but there are a couple of things, and I definitely agree about with what you're saying about Asuka. For these guys to make a build up, and then just to let us down, like, what's wrong with you guys, And I'll join you on that letter too. Also, Double K.
All right, for sure.
Sending that letter to Vince McMahon.
All right, we can't do this, Vince. Like, look, man, I tolerated a lot of shit over 30 years, over 30, 40 years of being a WWE fan. Just certain shit's got to stop. But on the last note, I'll say before I go, congratulations to the 4 49ers that made the Pro Bowl. George Kittle, being a huge WWE fan, is what made me want to say it here. He was one of the 4 that made the Pro Bowl, so congrats to them on their accomplishments this season. Hopefully they get to accomplish a bit more before the season's over. That's it for us this week. We've had a great episode, y'all. I hope y'all have enjoyed it. It's 2 hours of fun, and me and Alpha will be back again on Sunday.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, to talk a little bit more wrestling and pop culture, which, like I said, starting on the 2nd is when we'll start with that episode. Well, no, because that's when we're recording the roundtable. Sorry, we'll go over all this later. But that's it for us. We'll catch y'all later. Peace.
Peace.